It's really lovely to be here in the space today, and welcome to my two wonderful guests. We have Georgia Polden and we have Robbie Watson. Welcome to you both. It's really lovely to share space with you. Now, Georgia, I met in person in Glastonbury, and Robbie, we've been kind of on each other's peripheries, but this is the first actual connect and the first conversation, really, aside from comments and things on Facebook. So yeah, it's lovely to have you both here. And it was interesting, again, when I was getting the nudge, because Georgia, we spoke a while ago about you coming on, and I'm really getting the nudge for collaborations. And it was, I can't remember who I thought of first. I think it might have been Robbie this time. And then I was like, who with Robbie? But whichever way around, it was like there was a definite thing to get you two together. And I think you kind of just connected a little bit as well. So yeah, it seems perfect. Perfect timing.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here. And Georgia, I saw your beautiful profile picture and the long list of other friend requests that I have. And it's the picture that you're using for right now for this interview. And I saw your face and I knew that you were a soul sister of mine. So I didn't know that you did codes. And then I looked deeper into your profile and I see that you also create codes. So
yeah, and
amazing.
It's funny that picture because that is in Glastonbury with the stone.
Yeah, I've never been to Glastonbury, but my heart is connected there deeply.
And that stone was one of the ways that we were connecting, because I was trying to find it one time and you were trying to give me directions to it. It's up on the tour, but it's one of those things you kind of have to find it. You can't really be taken there. I mean, you could, but there's just something about the initiation of finding it. And I got so close to it, like I was literally just a few feet away, but that last bit of a climb with all the nettles, I just wasn't wearing the right shoes to do it. So I bottled out on that day and then went the next. And then we met like a few days afterwards. So, okay. So while people are gathering with us, let us just do the heart-to-heart connect. So I invite us all to bring our awareness to our heart space in the center of our chest. And let us take a few long and slow deep breaths and breathe in love. And if you'd like to breathe in joy as well to our hearts. And on your out breath, just release anything of the day so far or the week. Anything that might be stopping you from being in this now moment. Any old emotions, anything that your body is ready to let go of, any old programs, any old beliefs. And as we breathe love into our beautiful hearts, just feeling our hearts expanding and glowing with love. And that love beams out from our hearts all the way to the top of our heads, all the way down to the tips of our toes, out to the sides, into our energetic fields around our bodies. And it's a beautiful moment to just send love out to all hearts on the planet, to any people or situations that might need it. And feeling our bodies begin to relax as we take time to honor our bodies and to fill our vessels with love. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia. To the diamond crystal heart of Gaia. And feeling us now held within her beautiful heart space and feeling her loving energy moving into our bodies, into our hearts, into every cell. Feeling her gratitude for all that we are, all that we do. And feeling that recognition of all of us. And extending that heart awareness out now to the heart of the sun. Connecting in with the solar logos. And I'm seeing octahedrons at the heart of the sun, the heart of Gaia, and in our hearts, and feeling that connection between all of them. And feeling the beautiful solar energy moving into our bodies, into our hearts, into every cell. And extending that heart awareness out now to Source Creator. And feeling Source energy moving into our bodies, into our hearts, into our crowns, into our spinal column. Filling every cell of our bodies with love from Source Creator. And seeing lines of energy, seeing gold, connecting all of our hearts together. Reminding us that we are one heart, one love, and that we're all connected and unified together in one unified field of love. And that's the three of us here, everybody watching us live or on the replay or on YouTube. In whichever now moment it is. And just handing over at this point to Georgia first, if there's anything you want to add.
I think that all that you have is absolutely beautiful, and just that, yeah, we're sending this love out to all of the beings in all of the lands, all of the dimensions, and just spreading that love infinitely, just connecting and expanding the awareness of it, that it really is already there, and we're just focusing our attention on it. Thank you.
Thank you, and Robbie.
Yantariela suta yakasu. Matroloku yana. Matralaku yanaka. Marakaraku yani zikiena. Zatieshana. Uyatariesi makataralaku torakara engiana aqua.
Kielatana eret uki ishta. Mahia dead oronayata kukulekia. Georgia, if there's anything else you want to add after that.
Ojonanare anda sham urugondaya leliana son. Ndire alalala shonoru kure ashir an ar and ir ungorum. Irandara kirondo shondorogomboro yashu. Ishu. Yashuk.
Thank you both. So just moving our bodies now, wiggling our fingers and toes, and if your eyes are closed, just opening them whenever you're ready. Ah, oh, beautiful. Thank you both. So since we've started with light language, it kind of feels the right moment to ask who first? Getting Robbie first, actually. How did your journey with light language start? Because for me, it was like a healing journey first, connecting to source and bringing healing energy in. And then that kind of just, instead of it just coming out of my hands and my body, it was being voiced. But not everyone's journey is the same. So how did it start to come about for you?
Oh, wow, such a deep question for me. Deep because I found my voice through my own suffering. I remember attempting to express myself in the way that I am now and not knowing how and screaming out, really, basically in pain, in agony. There was this one night that I was just deep in the trenches of my dark night, and there was a song that I found on YouTube that was guided to me divinely. And I was doing deep mirror work that night. I was just looking in the mirror and basically just singing just tones, like using the sound of Om. The sound of Om was the first vibrational sound that actually, activated my capacity to understand what I was doing. So it definitely started there. But then as I was going deeper into the sound of Om, I guess I pushed through to something, and I was screaming, Sharakarakuya. And it just birthed itself from there. And I was on the phone with my cousin at the time, and I said, "Are you hearing this? Like, what is this?" And she's like, "I don't know, but keep doing it." And that's kind of how it started. I had no idea that other people were speaking it. I was not aware of that yet. So it was completely foreign to me. I was connecting it to like speaking in tongues, but then I started to recognize that it was a much deeper architecture that I was working with. But yeah, that's how it began for me, out of my suffering and just yearning for some type of harmony in my life, just seeking that like relentlessly. I mean, I knew that it was there, but I had never discovered it yet, but I knew it was there. And I used to be tone deaf. I could never sing, in tone or anything. And then once the sound of Om came into my life, it completely transfigured everything within me. So yeah.
That's really interesting. I hear you on that. Many years ago, it would have been 2006, I think. I was trying to release stuff from my body, and it just felt like I needed to use my voice. And at the time, I didn't really use my voice so much. I didn't really sing. I didn't really do anything. And I tried to scream, and it just hurt my throat. It just wasn't helping at all. So I ended up doing this really deep Om, and I had like a pillow in front of me because I didn't really want anyone to hear me. And then after a few Oms, and I could feel it starting to release from my body. And then after a while, you just like, oh, put that down, and just not caring who heard it. I was living in a house on a hill. And so I was quite aware with the valley and just with the acoustics that it, quite likely it would have been heard. And it was in Australia as well. So it's not like you could have all the doors and windows closed because it was so hot. But that was a real starting point. So it's interesting that you voice that, and just to reiterate how powerful our voices are in the release process. And I started with Reiki, so the energy would just release from your body anyway. but adding the voice as well, and adding body movements and shaking your body, which can then turn into a light language activation as well. So powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I remember, I was kind of in contact with my guides, and they were telling me, you know, be loud, break that barrier, that bubble that you were in, uh, go beyond what you think you're able to do. And that's what I did. So
thank you. Georgia, how about you?
Okay, yeah. So I had quite a different experience really of it, because I'd been like yourself, I attuned to Reiki quite a few years ago and was doing a lot of self healing on that practice, and I was exposed to light language when I did my Reiki too. Although it didn't really, it was like, oh, okay, that happened with this other woman that was was there, wasn't sure about it, left it at that, and just went about my own, experience and journey, continuing with Reiki. But I really felt like I wanted to actually remember more of my past lives, and specifically a lifetime in Lemuria. So I used to meditate with crystals around me, with Lemurian crystals, and have little messages that I would write out to Lemurian guides and family, like, hey, come in and like communicate with me. And what actually started happening is I started to actually write in other languages, and I was like, what's going on? Like, suddenly my handwriting isn't English anymore, and I can't actually understand it even myself. And I would draw, I put crystal grids, and then I draw around the crystals, and all this sorts of stuff started coming in. And then the toning and the sounds came through from that point on, which was quite, a bit of a reverse, I suppose. But prior to that, I have been mantras. I've always been into yoga, singing the mantras, and so I didn't feel like foreign to it, but I definitely wanted to explore more about it. And then I started to just meet loads of people that seemed to be doing the same thing. It's like it just drew that in, and it was quite a magical journey, how you suddenly, you shift your own energy, and then those people that are on that resonance come into your life. I had a lot of friendships and everything fall away during that time as well. And it brought all of that beauty into my life at the same time. So it was like a breaking down and then this renewal, which was really wonderful.
yeah, that's exactly how I would just describe it too. I had no one in those moments of seeking that connection with myself. And then I can't remember which came first, was the me speaking light language or me writing it, but right around the same time. And then I found a group called Keepers of the Codes, and all of a sudden there was like thousands of people writing in similar fashion, and I was like, whoa. And that brought all my soul family to me, was that page right there.
That's amazing that you actually found it through, because I found that page later on. I think a friend of mine, I was showing all these portraits of aspects of myself that I was drawing. And she said, have you heard of Keepers of the Code? Like, maybe you should share your things on there. And I was so scared to do it, actually. I was probably on there for about a year before I even posted anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Such an exhilarating experience, like being that transparent, because you don't have experience of that type of energy being interacted with within yourself. So pure, transparency that takes place. That's what attracts your soul family, is when you're in that space, and you can have the judgments of yourself up until the very moment, but then you birth it, and then it just evolves from that moment, and everything that was keeping you from it doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, true.
Keepers of the Codes was the first place that I did Facebook Lives. And it was a
Me
much
too.
smaller, nice. It
I
was a
told, they actually told me to get off of there. I was I was being a little probably dramatic with my energy, because I wasn't stabilized in my field yet. I was getting out of the dark night of my soul and projecting a lot of energy, but it was definitely a learning curve. I had to move away from being offended, and see within the answer of what they were saying to me, and I totally honored that. And then I went somewhere else, and I moved deeper into my expression, and then it wasn't even part of the experience to share live on Keepers of the Code. It was more about sharing on my personal page that type of intimacy. So
I
that's
think,
where I started gravitating.
I think sometimes in groups, it's a bit of a safer, because you kind of know that there's a commonality within a group. Whereas on your Facebook page, I've got friends from when did I first come on? 2007, I think I joined Facebook. So there's been a lot of evolution in myself. And I've got past colleagues, I've got past nurses from the past, a lot of people who aren't, this isn't the way they look at the world. This isn't their world at all. So coming out on my own page, even though a lot of people knew by that time, and they were okay with things like Reiki, but light language to a lot of people is a whole different ball game, because it's not within their frame of reference, and because your mind isn't going to understand it. So it felt a lot braver to start doing lives on my actual page. And now I don't really care so much. Like, if anyone pops up on a live and you see their name there, you kind of like inwardly go, uh-oh. I don't think I'll be there very long.
Oh, I can feel their whole energy field. I see them seeing me and everything. And hey, I love that they're witnessing something that they didn't expect. And it's somebody I went to school with, 15 years ago. It's extraordinary. They're supposed to be there. I welcome them. Judge me.
And sometimes people surprise you by getting in touch or writing a comment saying, I don't really understand what you're doing, but I just know how I feel with it.
Yeah.
And that can be such a beautiful thing, especially somebody that you're convinced would just be like, oh my goodness, what on earth is going on? And then you find that that they're not as close to it, that I've got judgment in there as well about them.
Yeah, they want that connection. I mean, they're playing the role of resistance, but that's not the role that we really came here to play, or to be, rather just play. So they want that experience. And if you can allow yourself to be in that space to offer that, it's just about dropping away from everything and just allowing yourself to witness the ineffable.
Yeah. I mean, I still haven't done lives on my Facebook page, if I'm honest. It's still, I post a few bits here and there.
You
But
are now.
yeah, they're here now, they're going to see it now. But I think you're right. People will experience it like I experienced when I was in my Reiki training. I hadn't seen anything like it. I just had all these angel wings wrapping around me because I was kind of scared. I was like, what is going on for that woman? And the experiences she was talking about with these beings that were coming to her, it didn't actually sound like a good thing. She was saying she'd been like pushed down the stairs and her house had gone dark and this thing happened. And I was like, okay, are we okay here? Like, am I in the right place? So, but now, and that was the word they used, light language. So I was like, okay, that's what that is, apparently. You couldn't find anything on YouTube, even. There was nothing. I think there was like one documentary or something, which I can't find now. And to this day now, the YouTube is flooded with people speaking light language. It's absolutely phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But actually, I think it's a really innate expression of ourselves. I realize that from a child, I have been speaking light language. I always speak to animals in different languages. I didn't actually, just making sounds and noises and funny little made up words, you know, it just but actually that's what kids do, isn't it? And I was being a child with the animals because that's where I felt safe to be that expression. So I think it's actually within all of us, and maybe it even is demonstrated within everyone in a very minute way, you know, and they haven't even witnessed it or know what it actually is. They're just doing it. You know, the breath, how they release with the breath, like you know, those sighs. It's a form of an expression of actually letting something go and then calling in something better into our bodies and into our experience.
Yes, it shows the commitment to spirit. It shows the commitment to your true self, to your authentic self in expressing it. There's probably not a greater thing than you could probably do for yourself than to allow yourself to experience that.
Mm.
To seek it and let it, and it's seeking you. It's not something you really seek. It's something that appears that you're seeking it, but really it's just always there, and you move into the resonance of that which it is, which never changes, by the way. It is always constant. It's always moving. And it's consciousness experiencing itself through every intonation. Undrasika kuka, torateyaka. And then every nuance of that sound, and you allow yourself to be in that field of just infinite possibility. The people who are listening take it wherever their consciousness needs them to take it. It's just universal, you know. And you can set intentions, I suppose, for your light language. But for the most part, I've recognized that, when I go live, I can be speaking to 14 people and they're experiencing something different, all of them,
Mm.
and I'm just being the container.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's its quantum. That kind of shows its quantum nature, because what one person receives might be the same as someone else, but it might be completely different. And the same in the translation of it as well. Like I don't really translate light language, because when it first started coming through for me, it wasn't in the form of a conversation. It was in sessions. It was to do activations on the earth. So it didn't have an English equivalent. And so, yeah, but it's interesting when people do receive a translation for it. 5 people could receive completely different meanings of what it actually is.
Absolutely. It's extraordinary. um it's just, what are they going to allow themselves to receive? What are they going to allow themselves to see? Last night I did a live for an hour and a half, and I never go that long. Never, ever, ever, ever. But there was just, the people who were in the space were holding the space for the stream to come through. And I always feel a deep connection when I'm in those spaces to the people who are unconscious that it's happening. I want them to feel that, hey, mama, 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 that vibration reaching for them. Yeah, it's extraordinary. Every time I would go live, my guides and my team have always expressed to me, this is practice. You're practicing for doing this in person, for doing this with huge groups of people, and this is your practice round, because every time I do it, my ego comes up. Sometimes I sit there and I'm thinking, oh, what are people thinking of me while I'm doing the light language? And that whole process is coming up. And then once I surrender it, then that's when the hour and a half can happen, because that space has been solidified and anchored with intention.
Mm.
Georgia, I'm glad you brought up before as well about animals and being out in nature, because for me, I found it very easy to speak light language and sing light language out in nature. And one of my favorite, and animals just love it. And you really feel that you're truly connecting with them, and they'll come up closer. And one of my favorite animals in Australia is a wallaby. And one time I was coming back from the beach and I was just singing light language, and there was like a field full of wallabies, and one of them was quite close, and it stopped eating and it didn't move. It just stayed in front of me for a good 5 minutes. The only bit that moved was its ear, and it was just checking where the rest of them were. And we just had this absolutely beautiful eye to eye, heart to heart connect. Because wallabies are very gentle animals. They're not like kangaroos. They're more like jumping deer. They've got a very similar energy to me to deer, and that real kind of softness. And then it happened again with the wallaby a few years later. So it wasn't a random thing. And they just love it. And you're really honoring them in that too. But especially, it's amazing if it's a dog or a cat or some creature that you know. But when it's not used to being with humans, not used to hearing those tones, it's just amazing. It's up there in one of my favorite life experiences.
Yeah. They have such a unique way of transmutating the energy, and they don't have any resistance. It's just there, you know. So I feel like, all of a sudden the animals in this day and age are hearing us speak our light language. It's probably the first time in their life that they're witnessing a human being in that natural state,
Yeah.
And then they pass it on. They pass it on to their friends, and it just moves, it shares itself. It's amazing. And I had a little vision of your voice, like touching that wallaby, and the energy of your voice going down into the earth. Like, it's just all symbiosis. It's just symbiotic. It's sacred, and you are the creator taking that intention and just adding to the mix in a way that is just extraordinary.
Have either of you had experiences with, birds, animals, whether or not with light language, but just any? Are you finding deeper connections with the birds? Are you finding them kind of singing louder to you, or?
Yeah, I find that. I mean, I actually have a really interesting relationship with the birds that are in my garden specifically, and they will tap on the window and everything to say, like, can you come out to feed me and things like that, because I'll go out there and I'll sing with them, and they just come so close. Even the squirrels will just sit up on the fence, and I've got a cat, so you think you should be careful, but they kind of know. They know that I'm there, and they want to listen, they want to observe. And even with trees, I've had quite profound experiences with trees as well.
That was my next.
Yeah. Well, the trees for sure. The trees was the first thing that reflected back to me, which was consciousness and stillness. Because I saw that the consciousness was always present, but it was still, still as a tree. But yeah, I've had squirrels. I love watching squirrels, and I've noticed that as we watch them, our consciousness kind of entangles with their consciousness, and there's sort of like a dance of an experience that can happen. Like for the squirrels outside, I've witnessed them like build lineages through this tree, and I'm connected to their babies. I can feel it, and they've even come up to my window and just looking inside my window. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, nobody would believe this. And I try to grab my phone, but it's not for that. It's just meant for me, and particularly birds for sure. I believe and feel that the birds were a gift from the avians, to help us distribute the electromagnetic fields of the earth, and so many more reasons why they're here. But yeah, the birds are always in resonance with like my thoughts, my higher thoughts. They're always answering and kind of reinforcing the frequency that I'm kind of building within myself. It's like they know you're there.
The sounds that they actually make, it has that very light language, resonance. If you do stop and then you see like all of these different birds all together in the same tree, and they're all singing all at the same time, they're all doing their little, and it's like, whoa, like I'm feeling really activated, and it's like clears and cleanses the system completely, and all the different sounds, and it's like it's like they've got all the different, each and every one of them is holding a different frequency of the earth, and they're just constantly like ebbing that out. It's quite phenomenal to witness and experience.
Yeah, it's like they're having their group meditations up in the trees. It's awesome.
I think birds hold the frequencies as well. I mean, you've just alluded to this, but that our bodies need. So when we go out in nature, we'll come across the birds who are singing in the tones or the pitches or, the particular frequencies that our body is kind of asking for at that time, to release stuff, to shed stuff, to unblock areas as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They are there to help. They want to help. They don't even know that they want to help until, they come across a human being with such energy like ours. They flock to it. They want to co-create with it, become one with it. Just
They
as
will
I would
sing
have
with you as well. They sing with you. And if and you're out there and you have a little sing, and then one will go back, and you can just have a little like sing song with them.
Yeah.
But obviously it goes much deeper than that, as well. But it's like, oh, you're creating like earth and consciousness too. I'm like, yeah, we are. Let's do it together. It's playful, but it's also really profound.
Yeah. This is so extraordinary that I'm seeing from this angle, but I'm almost seeing from a bird's angle. And it's almost like they're witnessing us as Earth experiencing itself. As an extension of Earth, an extension of that tree branch. That's when we become in harmony with it, and they no longer witness us from a state of separation.
Absolutely. And they never fly towards a tree and go, oh, a tree, but they'll avoid humans. But we become more like the trees. We become more, as you say, more at one with everything. Yep. And I'm convinced that birds, there's a lot more to them singing. Sometimes their song changes at different times of year as well. And I feel that is interacting with the earth and helping things to grow, helping flowers to blossom. I'm sure there's a lot more going on than we realize.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm seeing how Mother Earth focuses her energy in a unique way to those birds, that we are witnessing in that experience. It's almost like it's aware that this is a finite moment for the song to make a greater impact, and because we're listening to it, we are reinforcing it, anchoring it, just creating more of a group field for that experience to happen. And people who are sitting in their homes not even listening, like the fact that they can hear it, it's having an effect, and they are working with it too. Yeah, the birds are like a reflection of heaven to me, for me. They are always there singing the songs of bliss, reminding you like this exists outside of your mind. Like this is how you remember, is by allowing the sound to touch your heart.
And on a similar kind of vein, nature and the birds. So a question that I've been asking guests recently is about the elemental realm, and particularly the fairies. Now, I know we all have strong resonance with the dragon realm within that. But I just wondered if either of you connect with the fairy realm, any experiences, any magical experiences that you've had that come, that you feel to share?
Okay. Well, I was having a beautiful experience on the sacred land in southern Missouri. I was working with Mother Ayahuasca, and there was a light that was kind of glimmering through the woods. And I was like, oh, that's somebody with a glow stick. And I'm like, wait, there's nobody here with glow sticks. And I saw, like, in my vision that it was a fairy leading me to this to the sacred space, this container that was in the woods that wanted me to be there, to sing, to be there. um but beyond that, I know that the fairies are always around me. I've been told that the fairies adore me, that they're always there. Just I've seen them, like when I'm streaming, just source energy. I've seen them kind of gravitate like towards my voice, and kind of dance in like the nooks and the crannies of like the frequencies that I'm like letting out. I've seen them do that, which is so beautiful, so extraordinary. But yeah, beyond that, no, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting to have deeper connections with them for sure.
Yeah, I feel like a fairy anyway. I think a lot of people call me that a little bit. But yeah, actual experiences are just very simple one really. I just noticed that a lot of trees and have specifically, if you call them fairies, but they're like guardians of the trees. I think people might think of them as sort of fairy-like. And I have one in particular in the garden that watches over the bay tree. So I like to do lots of offerings to that particular tree, and that relationship has grown because of it. Like they've shown me themselves and things like that. Well, they look more like Dobby um, than really a fairy, I suppose. Actually, I don't know what you'd call that. What Dobby was meant to be. Harry Potter, I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's the first time I heard that, guardians of trees.
Yeah,
That's
they just seem to look after that grounds and that area, and that's what that particular being does anyway, and what
there's
I've
this
seen out in the forest.
there's this park a couple miles away, and there's some trees in the park, and I don't know who set this stuff there, but it's little miniature homes they've put around the tree. Nobody takes the stuff, it's just there all the time. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm sure it's probably somebody's, some kid, but the fact that it's there, it's just so magical. It doesn't matter, who brought it there, it's just there and it's always there. And that's where they live probably, in those little homes guarding those trees.
Mm.
And there's three trees. It's like one, two, three. It's like a triangle. So I'm
Um,
seeing into it now. I need to go back there.
And even just, you know, express a connection and acknowledge their presence. And as you say, Georgia, like giving them things, like giving them little offerings as well, leaving them bits of food, natural food, and just acknowledging their presence, I think, is an amazing way to start.
yeah, and they're not actually so, because it's like they're not actually stereotypical like fairies as well. Like I think I was kind of trying to look at the stereotypical fairy when you said that, and then I was like, oh, of course, like yeah, I've had experiences, but not really what we would stereotypically class as a fairy. If I tune into certain plants, they have a very fairy, what we would think of as like a fairy energy, or they'd be like, they come and present themselves like beings that look sort of fairy like, but also plant like at the same time.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I would call them kind of fairies, like bluebell fairies and things like that, because they look like bluebells, like humanoid bluebell. And that's only how I vision them, and I'm shown it's not probably their true expanded essence, but
I'm seeing like there's just so many variations of them, it's not just one type of race of fairies, it's as probably unique as we all are, if not more multifaceted, you know. And I think what we are able to see, is in resonance with how much we are allowing into our world, and if we're in a certain resonance, we're going to be able to see them in a certain way, you know. I do think that their appearance may take form on what we are projecting them to look like, but it's a dance though. It's a, it's a good projection. I feel, it makes sense, for that to kind of meet in the middle, you know. I mean, we probably won't ever really know what they look like until we're out of this body, perhaps, perhaps, maybe not, so.
And we have got if we're going a bit earthly, but we get galactics, and then you've got the galactic fairies as well, and I definitely have quite a strong connection there. I've got a few friends that have those connections, and whenever we're together, it's like that energy just suddenly implodes, and we're just in laughter, just speaking this very like fey like light language. It's all just it's hilarious because we can't even begin to speak anymore because we're all laughing. They bring so much joy. Really bring the laughter energy through.
And I feel the seeing is a combination as well. It's like, it's a point at which all your eyes, your first eye, your second and your third, kind of all merge together. So it's partially with your physical vision, and partially, with your psychic vision. It's like a combination of all.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just, every time we have endless opportunities to strengthen that connection, I love the offerings thing. I'm going to do that. Offer some fairies some beautiful gifts.
And dragons. Go on.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna tell you. Sometimes it's like food, and sometimes I even actually drop off crystals, to trees as well. Yeah, I get guided to do that, and codes, draw little codes, and
I've done that before. I didn't know if it was for the tree or maybe it was for the fairies.
yeah.
That's cool.
They look to your heart, like they see your intention. And if you're kind to the trees, if you're kind to the animals, then they feel that resonance in your heart. So dragons.
What about them, Denise?
Tell me of your connections with them or interactions with them, or whatever wants to be shared.
Well, for me, when I first started working with them about a year ago, it was very, very intense. And they came through. Well, I started connecting to them through Susanna Mara, through her dragon codes. And then I was drawing codes as well. And then I brought through one of my dragon guides that he is like a guardian of all the wisdom that I hold. He like carries it for me. He has 6 eyes. He's wicked. He's extraordinary. But wow, the dragons, I've been told some pretty extraordinary things in deep sessions with people that I am a dragon, that they've seen a vision of me in Lumeria as a dragon. I would sing on top of a mountain. And I've also been told that I carry the gold Christed dragon energy within myself, the royal dragonian lineages within myself. So I'm kind of just really tapping into that in terms of awareness, but I know that I completely let myself go into it. And yeah, I know that they are the architects of the constellations, if you will, of the black holes, of the voidless space. They are gatekeepers to that. So yeah, I love the dragons. I feel deeply connected to them all the time. They are me, I am them.
Yeah, I feel the same. I adore that energy, and I think it's been a journey that I've developed with, even from a child. I draw dragons and things like that. So it was only kind of funny when I really started to have more awareness. I was going, hang on a minute, I used to draw dragons like all the time, always drawing dragons. And my first guide that came to me was actually, which, you know, I say guide, it's an aspect of me, and they presented themselves as a Buddhist monk, and over time, it's like it's the same being, but they've evolved, and now that energy presents itself more in a form of a dragon. It's like a very blue, beautiful blue, electric, lightning type energy that moves around the body of the dragon as well. It's phenomenal when you get into it. It's a very powerful, strong energy, which I love to sort of remind myself that is also an aspect of me, because I can be very gentle and quiet. So it's like, oh, we'll come in, we'll support, we're holding. So, oh yes, that
Yeah,
other.
the dragons come in when you got to do some work, when you have to clear some spaces, and all of a sudden you are your dragon aspect, and there's nothing that is going against that. I mean, it's, it surrenders, to that enormity of just energy, because it's so pure, it's so sacred, it changes everything when you interact with it.
It is a really powerful force, isn't it? And often I do work with people who wanted to kind of empower themselves and think of a power animal and get them to kind of merge with that animal. So say if it was a tiger, like, become the tiger, feel the roar, that kind of thing. And doing that with a dragon is super, super powerful.
Oh yeah. Yes, I started connecting. I had a quantum healing hypnosis session about a couple weeks ago, and I connected deeply to the dragons, and they gifted me a seal that helps my voice transmutate their energy. And it's a very it really hurts my throat, but they have been architects of my voice. The that is a gift from the dragons. They gifted me with that ability to kind of roll. It's not rolling my tongue, it's rolling my throat. So I really love the intonation that they bring through when you vocalize them. It's very like Harry Potter, Slytherin kind of sound, but it's, for me, it's not light language. It is the language of the dragon. It is the expression of that energy through the voice, and that's the closest we can come to it.
Now, I wanted to thank you. I wanted to move on to the codes, because you've both been putting out some powerful codes. And Georgia, you started getting them printed as well, haven't you? You've connected and getting them printed on like t-shirts and clothes, and yeah, tell us about that as well. Like, tell us about your codes, how it, anything that you want to share about it, maybe how it feels to bring them through. But I'd love to hear about the textile side of it too.
Yeah. Oh well, this is interesting because it's transforming a little bit, because I originally found like a what do you call, like a print on demand website, and I wanted to be able to reach around the world. However, the energy of that just wasn't really actually working, and I have found a UK based vegan. It's like basically everything that I stand for, sustainability and everything. It's all in the UK. So I'm currently going through putting them on there, but I'm actually going a lot slower with it than I did the last time, because again, like you say, it is a process where you're birthing each code that you create, you're birthing it, you're going through the process, and the teachings that are within, the wisdom that is within it from the code, then it's like this embodiment happens either, well, both during the process of creation, and then after, it's like you start having all these experiences and to go through what it is and understand it on a deeper level. So yeah, the ones that I did were more like a series. They were all very linked to the void, and that of the energy of acts, and a lot of them, they're more like portals. So when you look at them, it's like sacred geometry that you just tap into that pattern, and it will take you into that. It's like a doorway to those spaces. So I can imagine it's going to be quite powerful for those people that um, are walking along the streets and they just sort of look at that artwork. That's kind of my idea, because I was watching a documentary as well that said, there was a quote in there which I think it could have been from like Da Vinci or someone that said it, but it was in a documentary that I heard it, and it was like the real teachings is in the artwork, and they were talking about in chapels and stuff, is that you could go to all the books are not going to give you the full facts of everything. It's hidden, it's secret, it's a mystery, but the artwork is where the real information is. It's the real, that's where the sacred hidden mystery is. And I feel like that's like that a lot with the artwork that we create, because there is so much depth within there that it could look like a pretty picture to everybody, but actually it's doing something on a cellular level. So to actually have people walking around on their bags and their tops with this beautiful sacred artwork, and just for someone appreciating it, go, wow, that's a really nice pattern you have on your top. It will just be that little seed that gives that person the ability to take it and either just hold it in their field for when they're ready, or even in that now moment, they could suddenly start to access more consciousness. Yeah, so it's a really beautiful opportunity for that to happen.
I love that. And I love what you said about birthing codes as well, because especially the big ones that we put out, and it's like you have to, so for example, if it's freedom codes, you're probably in the process of birthing freedom codes going to have the whole opposite of that. It's like you're holding the polarities within that as well, within the birthing process. Yeah, and the idea of getting the codes onto garments.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Go.
I'm so grateful. I have a beautiful business partner who had a vision of working with me, of seeing where the codes were coming. I called to him like a year ago, and he has come. Because I didn't know how to do it. I knew that wasn't going to be my wheelhouse to figure that out. So that's what we're doing too. We're working with a print on demand company, Printful, and it's been, to be honest, it's been a little bit of an uncomfortable experience for me. Kind of getting the codes to look properly on the clothes. You can't just, it's not just like you're taking a piece of cool artwork and putting it on the clothes. Like, no, the codes are not going to allow you to just let that just be the way that you think it is. So it's been taking me and my business partner through a deeper process of embodiment of what the intention really is for this. Because it's never been about making money for me. But it is the first thing in my life that has created abundance for me. So there's some duality there, and many programs that I'm releasing, and just letting it be. And there's no better way to do that than just be creating the codes. I also offer a service of a one-to-one service, to create a personal code for someone. And that started really taking my coding in a deeper space. Because the codes that I share on my Facebook are open source codes. They are codes for the collective, not for one individual alone. The personal experience is so much deeper. It can take, about 1 month to 4 or 5 months for a code to be completed. And I'm so grateful for my beautiful patient clients who wait 3 to 5 months to work with me, because I just can't devote every moment. which I was trying to do that. I was trying to devote everything to personal codes and not allowing myself to code for myself. And it started feeling like a job to me. And I'm like, no, this is not right. So then I stopped doing so many personal codes at once. And so now I just do two. Um, and yeah, the coding process has completely changed my life. My codes have evolved very, very quickly in like a year and a half, 2 years. And the first person who I saw doing codes was Susanna Mara at the level at which I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm supposed to be doing that. Like, I know that's it. And beautiful Suzanne. I used to send her pictures of my little app drawings. I'm like, look at me. And she's like, keep going. You have a way with the light. And I'm like, thank you. So now we're beautiful friends. I love it. So yeah, the codes have shifted drastically. I've kind of struggled with understanding them and needing to understand them, because I've compared myself to how other people express the coding, and I just admire those people who are able to, those cryptic people who are able to see the symbologies of the energies. Because yes, it's based off of one perception, but you can feel, like, especially you can feel when what they're bringing through for the code is in resonance with what the code is really doing. And I do wish to have that deeper connection with the codes, which is what I'm doing now. I'm working on my DNA with Ryan Melchizedek and Richard Melchizedek. And so yeah, I've also recognized that it doesn't matter if I know what it is. It actually, me wanting that creates resistance. Me misunderstanding myself keeps me from me doubting myself. I'm sorry, me doubting myself keeps me from experiencing what it truly is. Um, that's one thing that I've struggled with ever since I've began. So that's been a dance for me. But yeah, I just keep showing up. I just keep creating, and there's just this drive in me. It's the one thing in my reality that I know is real. It's the one thing that I know is what it really is, as it appears to be.
And the codes of consciousness as well, isn't it? Like, you're actually birthing a being when you birth it. It is a consciousness of its own.
Yes.
And sometimes, go on.
I'm sorry, you're birthing worlds. Yes.
Yeah, sometimes when I it's like I connect with the code for its message. I might not see all the details of it. It's really interesting when you show it to other people and they're like, I can, there's this, there's that. On one of the superabundance codes, I got a nudge. I connected with someone in Egypt, and I sent it to him, and he's like, this is Nut here, and Nut's brother. And when I read up about them, I could see that it was, but I didn't know that. And I find it, for me, when I do my codes, it's like a code and then I mirror it. And it's in the mirroring often that things form. And there's no way that I could have controlled that, because there's no way I can put half of something into a code expecting it to be something else. So for me, it's a really fascinating process of guidance. Like, I only know where the next line should be. I don't have an overall vision for it. That might change. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it at the moment. And I love the process. I love to bring codes through, either for people or for for individual people, as you say, and as commissions or for the collective. It's a beautiful, beautiful process, and one that I haven't really been doing for the last couple of months. So it'll be interesting after this call whether I'll, start to be birthing again.
Absolutely. And I also think it's important to have the experience of showing people you creating the codes. I've been working through that because that takes an enormous amount of space to hold, which I've done before. Beautiful Susanna Mara is so she is just so embodied in that state of her like creating the codes on the screen. And I've done it before, my hand's shaking. It takes so much space to hold, but that's where I know I'm moving towards with the codes. I've had visions of myself creating codes on a big screen in a huge amphitheater with my voice and a band and music and people there watching the creation process, because that's half of the code is the experience that someone else is having with it, um, which is what I've been guided to accept with regards to not understanding what the code means, because that mirror, like you mirror your codes, the people are mirroring the codes really, and that's where the messages birth themselves, you know and they're different for everyone, of course, but yeah, I'm so grateful for that lesson of just allowing myself not to understand what the code is and just letting it be as it is. Because it's beautiful. I mean, I would get so frustrated with myself. I'm like, how do I not know what this means? I'm the one creating it. Like, what the hell? So, but it's not about that. It's really not. It's about just allowing it to be as it is and to have the experience of itself. We are the code. We are the code embodied. We are embodying the codes.
See, I still see them like what we create there as representations and gateways to that information, because it's this beautiful artwork. It's a phenomenal creation, and you feel the process because you feel the energy of it itself in your feel when you're holding it, isn't it? And then it's like that energy then transfers into that piece, and then whenever someone else is then looking at it or working with it however they wish to, it then allows them to then have the transference of that energy for them. And for myself, like I've come to realize that it comes through in a more like poetic, mysterious way. So I'll type things out for people, and it's not really like it means this, you are this, da 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 da. It's like, it's just this beautiful poetic message that is again another code that allows something to just drop in for someone on a more deeper soul level, because I suppose that real, mind understanding is the mind, isn't it? And it takes away from the heart understanding, which is what the artwork is evidently there for, And I guess we do need a little bit of a bit of both. So it is really important to have like a vague, or say vague, but an
Yeah, the
understanding, an
neutrality of,
understanding. Mm.
yeah. Um, and I'm thinking now, I do channel a message for the codes that does come through. Um, and that is separated from the doubt, um, at which I carry with it before I actually post the message. Um, which is extraordinary. For personal codes, it's 12 p.m. For personal codes, I actually break down the code, um, and kind of express what I feel it means. And I've struggled with that too, because is coming from my own perception. But my guides have told me, like, no, what you're seeing is going to help them embody what they need to see. So, uh, yeah, it's just getting the mind out of the way for
Mm.
you to do what you need to do. And then the messages that are channeled for the collective codes on my Facebook, I really love that process, because I mean, I would literally channel such a beautiful sacred message, and I would always feel that it was like a collective channeling from like many various pieces that would step forward, and the words would be in resonance with those pieces, and those pieces that the people are holding that are seeking for the messages. And um I would I would literally read the message back and witness it in the doubt of myself. And then people would message me and express to me certain parts in the message like that spoke to them directly. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's the part that I was doubting. Like, So it's constantly like being this mirror, kind of testing you, seeing, are you seeing your authenticity? Are you seeing what the magic really is? Because it's there, you know. You not seeing it isn't showing that it's not there. It's just you getting in the way of yourself.
Mm. It's a really good
So
space for evolving and learning for yourself, isn't it? More than even the other people that are there in that space. I did something with last year, and we hopefully will start it again. But me and my friend, I think you know her, Shamira, and we did a joint
oh
one together. We were both
yeah.
doing these codes together online. It was so funny because we were just like, all this energy, and then everyone's like, I'm crying. Why are we all crying? It's like, because the energy is so amplified. So doing this all together, and I guess this comes back to you, Denise, doesn't it? While we're all in this space together, it's amplifying. It's truly, to do something like this in person one day would be phenomenal, even more so. But yet, this is so
Pass the
powerful.
tablet between you. Like I hand you the tablet, we hand it to Suzanne, she hands it to us. you know, I've also noticed an uptick in
Interesting.
people who are like wanting to code and all of a sudden having the capacity to do it. I've stirred so many people into the right direction. So many people have messaged me and now they're doing codes. It's so amazing to see it. Like anybody can do this. Anybody can do it. Um, you just have to ask for it and it comes to you.
Mm.
Now, do you both have time to share a bit of light language?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Cool. So I invite us all back into our hearts. The three of us and those watching. And I will hand over to whoever wishes to speak first. Thank you.
Suya mama maya la mama maya hanale ai hamama maya la ai Hona wana si amasure yamai yamayo Hay ay 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 amasia la no yamasuya tralasi angariakusa tralaku trasa choroku yataka masutra laku sama mama mama hey mama hey hasatralaku, truku, sakia tralaku, zatoroku, zakia satralaku, yatakria kihina, ansatralaku, ratraku, toroku, taraka, tiasato, tornaka, torna, toraka. Chanchaku saki tralakasa trasa chonchaki esha eshana eshnu hasayanu akariki eshahat
Ki artiko hia porni ki kata artikiko ut ea kuto unikia. Valakia le hia dora de paradik tutust. Halakia ut uia parala itu warna. Kalekia la no to shuina katata a. Kalekia parala into tata artiko baratikite e tata a. Ko ole haratikite martikito unta tata a. Kal opata hai eleki. Ui lara no kutu rorat. Malakarala tia parala katatata undukusta a. Ke el e ornokut tatata antur ai to. Hoist arala it or to an. Ui to or ambarla katatata. Ard und ard ai at or tikitik ard papala a. Kiklekera to kuna hardik to katata to usta. Elikera di tior to porla kit oi. Oi la 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 ya 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 ya. Oi la ya ya. Oi harla net to beautiful. Thank you. Thank you both so much. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here with you both.
Thank you. Yashamaru komade yamase yanomosunai.
It's been an honor sitting with such sacred divine feminine, to sit in this trinity, to sit in the space, and to be able to witness myself in this flow without resistance. It is what I want to experience every moment of my life like. So this was that. So thank you.
Oh, and that was a powerful, powerful collaboration as well at the end. Thank you both. And thank you to everybody who's been with us as well, who's joined us either on the live or on the replay or on YouTube. And if anyone wants to, I'll get you both to share your details. I've put it already in the description, but I'll come back to that in a second. So if you enjoy this video and you want to watch more, it's Inner Peace with Denise is my YouTube channel. Please like, please subscribe, and thank you. Georgia, how can people find you?
Well, it's Georgia Lee Polden, and I'm under Cosmic Heart Space. So you'll be able to find me under that name on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Robbie?
Please feel free to just add me on my Facebook. My business Facebook page is called Vibrational Medicine, but I post everything through my personal profile. I'm working on a website where the products will be. So just my profile.
Awesome. It's been really, really lovely to share space with you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love to all and everyone.
Love. Love, 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 love.